Guys, doesn't this forest look like I'm in an episode of Game of Thrones? And this is right here in my own backyard. It's insane. Anyways, today I want to specifically talk about 5 mistakes that photographers make when transitioning into video. Nowadays, with DSLRs and mirrorless cameras constantly improving, more and more photographers are starting to dabble in video, and that's why today I want to share 5 mistakes that I made when I first started switching from photography to video. So let's get into that. Mistake number 1 that I made when I started shooting video was filming in 60 frames per second. That's right, I remember when I first got the Canon 550D, turned on the camera, started filming video, it was on 60 frames per second. I thought, man, this looks so good. It's so smooth, it's so buttery. I really like that. Then, as time went on, I started realizing like, 60 frames per second is just way too smooth. And it just doesn't have that cinematic feel to it. When you look at all Hollywood films, they're all filmed at 24 frames per second to give that cinematic motion blur to the footage. So when you're filming, make sure you have 24 frames per second on. Of course, if you are filming slow motion, film at 60 frames per second or higher, and then just modify it down to 24 frames per second to get that slow motion, but as well to have that cinematic look to the footage. So mistake number 1 that I made, filming in 60 frames per second. Not good. Mistake number 2, not doubling the shutter. As a photographer, when I'm shooting photos, I ideally don't want the shutter speed to go less than 1/200th of a second, otherwise the photo's probably not going to be sharp. But in the world of video, it's totally different. The general rule is that your shutter speed should be double your frame rate. So for example, if you're filming 24 frames per second, you should have your shutter at 50. If you're filming at 60 frames per second, you should have your shutter at 120. And the reason why you want to do this is because it gives you that nice cinematic motion blur. You see, if you don't double the shutter and you have the shutter speed cranked up really high, the footage is gonna look really choppy and almost too perfect and kind of clear. Whereas if you film it at 50 shutter with a frame rate of 24 frames per second, it's gonna give you that nice cinematic motion blur. But how can you just double the shutter without having to boost up your aperture super high? You wanna have that nice depth of field, but as well you wanna keep your shutter at 50. And that's where ND filters come into play. ND filters are these filters where you spin the dial and it's gonna get darker as you spin the dial, and that's gonna allow you to adjust the exposure, allowing you to have the shutter at 50 with your 24 frames per second while still shooting at a nice high depth of field like 2.8 or lower. So guys, look at the difference here. First, this is filmed with 1/50th of a shutter, and this second shot is filmed at a really high shutter. Can you see the difference? The first footage, really nice cinematic motion blur. Second footage, way too kind of choppy and staccato effect. You don't want that look. If you want the cinematic look, make sure you always double your shutter, meaning double the frame rate that you're filming at. Guys, it's starting to rain. Trying to keep some cover under these trees right here. But mistake number 3 that people make when they transition to video is film handheld. The thought of gimbals and glide cams, they can feel just so overwhelming, or maybe you just feel like, man, I don't have extra money to dish out for a stabilizer. So you think, well, I'm just gonna film handheld. What the heck, it'll be good enough. And the problem is that when you first start filming out in video, filming handheld is not gonna get you that cinematic footage that you want. When you get down along the road and you've been a filmmaker for a few years, you learn some tips and tricks on how to film handheld and how to keep the footage smooth. But when you're starting out, using gimbals and glide cams, they really help to get cinematic footage. And you might think, I just don't have the money for that. But actually, it's not as expensive as you think. For the longest time, I've been using the GlideCam XR2000, which costs around $100, $150 right now. It's not very expensive, but even with that tool, I can get really nice, smooth, cinematic footage. Just look at the difference between filming in handheld and with a gimbal. It's insane, the difference. On top of using gimbals and glide cams, it also helps to have in-body stabilization in your camera or lenses with stabilizers. But that's mistake number 3 that people use when transitioning from photo to video. They assume that they can just film handheld. Mistake number 4 that photographers often make when transitioning into video is not shooting in a flat picture profile. You see, when you're shooting photos and you're shooting raw photos, it really doesn't matter what kind of picture profile you're using, because at the end of the day, you can just throw it in a Lightroom and just change it all again. It's really just for your own purposes when you want to see what it's going to look like in camera. But shooting video is kind of like shooting JPEGs. The picture profile that you're shooting with is baked into the image. So when you're shooting with video, you want to have a flat picture profile to give you a flat canvas to start with your color grade and your color correcting. As well, you're going to get more of a dynamic range, and you're going to be able to get nicer sharpness by adding it in post rather than in camera. For example, in my camera, I'm doing sharpness at 0, contrast at -4 or 0 as well, saturation -2, and color tone at 0. Having this flat picture profile allows me to have that blank canvas to start my color grade. Then when I go to Premiere, I can add contrast, I can add saturation, I can change the white balance, and I have the flexibility with the footage. Whereas if I had just a standard picture profile, the camera is already essentially putting its own grade on the footage. So mistake number 4 that photographers often make in video is not shooting in a flat picture profile. I can't really reach the camera. Let me climb up the tree a little bit. Mistake number 5 that photographers use when switching to videography is not using manual settings. And what I mean by that is choosing manually your white balance and your exposure settings. The thing with video is that if you're shooting with constant auto white balance, while you're shooting, the white balance can just totally change, which makes it a huge headache in post trying to, color correct and make it right. So make sure you choose the right white balance that you're shooting. For example, if you're shooting outside today, it's a cloudy day, so I choose the cloudy preset for white balance, and it's gonna save me a whole lot of trouble in post when I'm editing and color grading the footage. But not only choosing manually your white balance, but as well your exposure settings. You see, when you're shooting photos and you have raw, there's a lot of leeway to recover, the highlights or the darks. You're not gonna crush them very easily, but with video, it's really easy to blow out your whites or crush your blacks. So you gotta make sure that you have the right exposure off the bat. So make sure that when you're shooting video, you take the time to set the right white balance, set the right exposure settings, because you're gonna save yourself a whole lot of hassle in the post-processing process with video. You don't have as much forgiveness as you do with raw photos in DSLR. So that's mistake number 5 that people make when they're transitioning from photo to video. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope this will save you a lot of headache, especially if you're a photographer and you really want to start dabbling in video. By not doing the mistakes that I did will save you a huge ton of time and hassle and headache. So hopefully these will help you. Also guys, I just released my African Safari Lightroom preset. It's only going for €5. Guys, this preset is perfect for that midday sun. When I was in Africa, I had to shoot constantly during the middle of the day, and it was that harsh mid-sun light, and I wanted to create a preset that would work for that. It's only going for €5. It's one preset. I want to make it really simple for you guys. Thank you already in advance for all the support. As well, there's 1 week left in the 20K giveaway. If you want to participate in that, I'm giving away 3 of my Lightroom preset sets and also my LUT pack sets. And all you got to do to participate in the contest is subscribe to the channel, follow me on Instagram, and as well follow my new TH Presets Instagram account. So follow all those 3 and you are eligible to win in the contest. Guys, it is starting to rain out here. Me and Rope are getting soaked and we need to bounce.